In my own home, the props I really value are things that are deeply sentimental. I am really interested in things that can really take me back, really make me happy, really remind me that it's not just all this sort of styling stuff. My name's Morton, and I've chosen 3 objects that are close to my heart. My husband had a birthday or a Father's Day, and instead of taking him to an obligatory lunch, I thought I would take the ferry and meet an artist friend of mine who was painting portraits. And I knew she had a very loose, fluid, floppy style, which I love, but it felt to me very real and very raw. But it was such a beautiful day physically, but then the outcomes I thought were hilarious because the children had all sat for Michelle to paint. And I just think it's so lovely and so wrong, and their faces are very long, and my son's eyes are very close together, and the baby's sort of got the size of 3 people in one head. And everything's so exaggerated, and I just love the idea as someone who works in beauty and making this very deliberate version of what we deem to be beautiful. It's so flawed. I also love the idea that she was sitting there in her beautiful artist studio on an island, and these 5 people turned up on a boat, and the way that she saw one as dark behind and one as light, and you know, this is what we were wearing but not, and this is what she saw. I just think it's so glorious to look at forever and ever and remember that day. So the whole idea of props as currency is a stylist's sort of reason for being. Really, really beautiful styling though is not what you put in, it's what you take away. And so I'm always really conscious of the properties of a prop or a thing. Really good stylists work with their eyes, their hearts and their hand. You know, you've got to really feel your way when you're finding good props. Our response to want to put things and place things in pleasing combinations, I think is very caveman and cavewoman. We call it styling in Australia, but it's really far more important than that, because styling makes it seem as if it's of little consequence and it's fruit and flowers and it's what you do when you want to sell your house. But placing things in pleasing sight lines for you to get through the daily challenges of life has been the motivation of Caravaggio through to everyone else who tries to deal with a messy house. And once we learn how to do that, or learn that it's not embarrassing to enjoy it, I just think it's so glorious. Props then do become autobiographical, whether you like it or not. The things that you decide to keep, house to house, situation to situation, stage to stage, really do, I think, make up part of your life. And the 3 I've chosen today are part of my old life when I was a corporate person and part of my new life when I had children. Everyone can buy anything, can't they? Everything's for sale. And you could look at a beautiful picture on Pinterest and say, I want all of that, and you could get all of that, but you'd still be just as, it'd feel grimy. I mean, it'd look good, but it'd feel grimy, and you wouldn't have the connection to the things. And I think that's the thing, no matter how beautiful your house is, no matter how many amazing pieces of furniture you've collected or you might own, or what you're trying to acquire in the interiors realm, these 3 things always just give me so much joy.